Are we? Good morning, Facebook. Hey, this is Jim Blythe. Joining me this morning, one of the most exceptional human beings I have ever met, and that's not a joke. What a great
Welcome
thing
to the
see you
Veterans
this
Impact
morning.
Show, where our motto is Charlie
right,
Mike.
we're on
Continue
Facebook.
the mission. I'm your host, Jim Blythe, U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran and certified senior advisor. Join me as we feature veterans who continue the mission of leadership and commitment in our communities after serving our great nation. Why, you never know who you're going to meet or where we're going to go. So welcome aboard.
What a great day. This is Jim Blythe, certified senior advisor, U.S. Navy veteran. Joining me, one of the most fabulous, interesting men I have ever met, and I'm so glad. I've known you now for about 10 or 12 years.
Yes, sir.
And Darrell Hartley is U.S. Navy veteran.
Yes, sir.
What did you do in the Navy, Darrell?
I was a bosun's mate.
Really? Wow.
And then I became an addictions counselor.
While you
So-
were in the Navy?
Yes. So what happened was I was about to discharge, and the Navy counselor says, "Hey, you gonna re-enlist?" I'm like, I don't know. He said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I said, "I don't want to do deployments anymore." So he says, "You want to go to addiction counselor school in San Diego?" I said, "How long is it?" He said, "By the time you get out, you'll know if you want to re-enlist or not." Went to addiction counselor school, loved it, got a credential, and here I am.
Here you are. All right. Let's just say we've introduced Darrell, but there's a couple of things I need to bring to the point. I want to say thank you to DBTV Network to put us on Amazon Fire and Roku and the AUN TV network out in California. Man, I love Northern California, and I'm so glad to be a part of your life out there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to Veterans Impact Show. Also, follow us on Facebook. Now, this is brought to you by Fairway Independent Mortgage, my company. I'm a reverse mortgage lender specialist. We are the largest non-bank mortgage company in the world. And when it comes to counseling, that's what I do with seniors to try and help them get a secure future. So I'm Jim Blythe. My NMLS number is 311548, and our corporate one is 2289. And we're an equal opportunity lender. Except I don't loan to young people. You know, if you're not an old person, don't call me.
Wow. That's how you feel.
Hey, Darrell, I got to tell you, so amazing when we first met, and I really got involved, and I'm now a life member of VFW.
Yes, sir.
You're a chaplain, I believe, in my VFW.
District 1.
One
Yes, sir.
one of the things that I think is so incredible is about how you have not only become a friend, but a counselor and a comrade, and you have embraced getting together, being part of the team, bringing us all together, which is phenomenal because that's one of the things that all of us miss from the military.
Yes, camaraderie.
Yeah. And I really want to say thank you very, very much for that because that's one of the most important things, and I think in everybody's life. It speaks so well of you. Now, as you know, we have a tradition in the military, and the tradition is for an officer to be able to say thank you very much for your service and what you've done. And so I'm offering you something from the bottom of my heart to say thank you. Take a look at it. It's a special challenge coin.
It is.
And it's very
The
special.
whole armor of God.
Yes. And you are a chaplain.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's talk about
Yes, sir.
how you are blessing veterans and transportation workers and pilots with your counseling. Tell us about that.
Well, I am a board certified hospice and crisis chaplain, palliative care crisis chaplain. And what that means is that when there is a crisis globally, I go. When there is a crisis or a death in the confines of hospice, I'm there too. I work with a wonderful company in Plano that I am their lead chaplain. There's another chaplain too, so we share the duties and responsibilities. Um, Being a chaplain in the VFW, the American Legion, AMVETS, and DAV also means that wherever I'm able to serve and support, I'm there. But particularly in District 1, the VFW, I ensure that every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, there's a turkey, there's a Cornish hen, there's just gas in somebody's tank, there's gift cards, there's funding, because no matter if you had infinity in your bank account, you can't give enough. There's just so many other needs. So this past year, Christmas and Thanksgiving was probably the most epic ever. I've been the district chaplain for 8 years. It's been phenomenal being able to have a ground swell of support from people. So the day after Thanksgiving, that's Black Friday for some people, but I'm on the telephone ensuring that I have not only those benefactors that participated, but other benefactors that will come alongside as well. And same thing for Christmas. The day after, I'm calling. New Year's, I'm calling. Easter, I'm calling. Those specific days for veterans, I'm calling to see if we can get wreaths, if we can get any type of memorabilia, particularly for our Vietnam, Korean, World War II vets, those who still survive, as well as all of those others who've been in the theaters of war. Excluding myself. I don't think of myself in that way. I think of myself, how do I give today? So as far as income goes, 24% of my income goes to causes. So God asked for 10. I give 24. So 10% tithes, 7% offering, 4% first fruits, 3% alms. Alms is giving to people who really have a need. I used to give cash at the islands that you see people with the signs and stuff. I give gift cards and toiletry bags and my business card to let them know that if there's a need beyond this, please let me know and we'll get you connected. I work with the Department of Transportation, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and the Federal Aviation Administration, getting people back to duty who have failed drug screens. When you fail a federal drug screen, you have to have a significant amount of patience in returning to duty. It's not a county or a city or a state matter. This is a federal matter. Once you receive a substance abuse professional, meaning one assigned to you, you only get one unless that person is not practicing anymore, they've been suspended indefinitely, or they've passed on to glory. So I do my very best. At 60 years of age, I found something. 60, man. 60,
No
bro.
way.
60. I mean, everybody can't make 60 look this good, but yeah.
Boy, that's for sure.
At 60, right? You put yourself in a position to say, this is what I asked the Lord for. I asked the Lord to assist me in assisting other people. Now, does that mean that it always works out favorable for me? No, because you have people who just want to get back to duty. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the homework. It just, the hate is already built in. So you'll get some poor reviews or you get great reviews. I don't respond to either. You know why? Because I'm just doing the work. God gets the glory. He gets the honor. He gets the praise. I'm just a willing, working vessel. That's what I am. I've allowed the Lord to say, do you want this? Yes, sir. Then on your way. So here we are, right? And so because I know that from the human and mortal condition, hatred, dishonor, disrespect is already built in. You know how much energy it takes to hate somebody? My goodness, it's pathetic, right? So the counseling piece is this. For me to have become a Department of Transportation substance abuse professional, and that's all branches of the Department of Transportation. That's anything that has a DOT designation on the side of their vehicle. That's, let's say, FBI, that's CIA. You keep going, you meet in the middle, you go up, you go down. That's Coast Guard, that's the roads, and that's the rivers and seas.
18-wheelers.
That's CDL drivers. And CDL drivers are most exclusive to me because those are the people who really want to get back to work because they failed a drug screen, right? No condemnation, no dishonor, no judgment. What can we do? All I ask a person to do is tell me the truth. If you tell me the truth, we can go forward and get this thing resolved. If I find something else after the fact, then we have to work on that, and it delays the process even more.
Let me ask you a question. Drug screening or DUI, alcohol, all of that. In many are there situations where okay, I've been told, for instance, if you eat a hamburger with a poppy seed bun and have to take a drug test, you'll fail it because of the poppy seeds. I've been told other things. I've told there's certain combinations of like a Tylenol and a this or a this and a that. Are there things that we can do not realizing we'll fail a drug screen, not talking about smoking a reefer or taking something you shouldn't take, but something you could innocently do that would create that? Are there things like that, Darrell?
So, from my experience, and I've been a substance abuse professional since 2013, and so for me, um, DOT, FMCSA, DOT in general, listen to me, everyone. They don't care. Remember that scene in um, Tommy Lee Jones tells Harrison Ford, um, he said, "I didn't kill my wife. I don't care." So DOT is, unless you're in compliance, you're in this category of being an alcoholic, a drug addict, or a substance abuser, right?
Yeah,
We don't want to say the word, but some people just call them dope fiends, and they're not. They made a mistake,
yeah,
right? But more importantly, they made an error. Errors often you can come back from, mistakes you can't. So the difference being, as I tell people, I don't give advice, I give counsel. You can make an error. If you ever gone to a baseball game, you've seen the third baseman or the shortstop or the center fielder make an error. Sometimes 3 runs score if the bases are loaded. Sometimes it's inside the park grand slam. But if the other team has enough offense, they can come back from that and they can win the game, right? So people only remember who wins. The heroes get to write the stories, right? And the people that come back from these drug screens and they never fail a game, they're heroes. They're to be
absolutely.
celebrated, right? Now, one more thing you should know. In order to be a substance abuse professional with the Department of Transportation, you needed to be one of the following: an addictions counselor, a substance abuse counselor, a drug and alcohol counselor, or a chemical dependency counselor. I'm all of those things. And I'm also a biblical counselor. So when people sit down before me, they think they know what's going on, but they won't know until they talk to me. That's why it's important when you have this um, initial interview, it's always face to face. Why is it face to face? It's face to face so you get to meet the person, you get to hear their story, you get to see them. But I also want to tell you guys something. There's no secret because I tell everybody this. I know when you're lying to me. Your eyes tell it. Your irises, they start pooling, like swimming pools, they start pooling, right? So I'll say, hey, listen, I just heard what you said. I need some more details. Well, I just told you everything. No, you didn't. So once we get to the root of this and make the person confess on why this thing happened, we're going somewhere. And then put this matter behind you. The sacred scriptures teach us that the plowman is not worthy of the plowshare if they're looking behind them. There's nothing back there. You go forward. That's why horses have blinders on, so they can go forward. And you can do the same.
Now that's profound. And I got to tell you, that really makes sense. So the first part of this, and you have kind of a 3-step program that I saw on your website. Again, let's put up his website so people can see it. Go to Better Call Darrell, and there it is right there. BetterCallDarrell.com, and you can see. So if you've got a family member or you've been in trouble, you've got somebody you know who's a close friend, and they've got an abuse problem,
And they got to get back to work.
and they got to get back to work. More than that, Darrell, they got to get back to life.
Right, right.
Uh,
If they're not working, they're not living.
they're not
Properly.
working, they're not living. Now, I think this is incredibly important because don't we have an epidemic of this sort of thing as well as
Pandemic.
No? Pandemic, okay.
President Trump, when he was in office, and before him, President George Bush says, and Obama says, drug and alcohol abuse, misuse, and use is pandemic. There's trillions of dollars being spent on it, but there's a lot of poor information being disseminated to people. You got people online now who are saying they're coaches and they're counselors and they're gurus, and they're not even credentialed. When you have someone credentialed, that lends all the credibility in the world to what they do. And if they're giving you poor information, you report them. For me, I sit down as though I'm speaking to myself, to somebody. What would I say to me in this instance? So the information that I receive is not only valid and it's concrete, but it comes from heaven as well, because I serve the Lord. And most of the times the information that comes up is that somebody says that I just don't know how to connect properly. So I'm there for the spiritual counsel, the spiritual health counsel as well.
Darrell, do you find that there are some mental health issues
Yes.
underlying that?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk more about some of that because I have, through a family member, had a couple of experiences with that as being the dad. And I know that once we could address the mental health issues, then all of a sudden they began to sober up, get straight, and then they could see. And man, I got to tell you, what a joy it is to be around these people now, where it used to be scare you half to death.
Yes.
And when somebody is using alcohol, drugs, prescription drugs, whatever, there is a level of toxicity and anger, and their life is miserable. Matter of fact, I have talked to many veterans, because I did a lot of the financial counseling for the Denton County Veterans Court, and their life was so upside down.
You know you're a legend there, right? Just putting it out there. You're a legend.
Really?
Yeah, yes, sir.
I didn't. I never thought of myself as that, but I'm telling you, these things go just deeper than the abuse. And this is when we come back. I want to talk more about how do we get to these core issues, because we need people like you, but we need to end this pandemic. I'll go with that. And we need to save lives, because here's one of the other problems. When your addiction takes control of you, that's one of the reasons why we've got 22 veterans a day committing suicide.
Perhaps more.
And it's not, perhaps more, and it's not just veterans. It's Americans across the board. So when we come back, we're going to be talking more with Darrell Hartley about this. This is Jim Blythe, and you're watching and enjoying Veterans Impact Show. We're here to save lives. We're here to talk about health and wellness. This is the Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Darrell, what a joy to have you aboard. I got to tell you, you inspired me. And recently, you and I went through a training that was called Combat Reboot. And
Reboot.
I was so amazed by many of the comments and things that you said. It was really insightful, and that's one of the best trainings. And I think all of a sudden, I never thought, well, you got this problem or you got that problem. I didn't think I had any problems. Yeah, when I started really looking into it, I do. And whether and I'm not a substance abuse. All of us. That's the point I want to make. I don't abuse substances, except maybe the chow hall. And I love to cook.
Now remember, I'm addictions counselor, so we can talk about that.
Yeah, we need to. I'm a stress eater. How many of you guys out there are stress eaters like me? Man, you get stressed out, you have a rough day, the news on the TV's bad, guess what you do? You go to the refrigerator and you make a pot roast, right? You go to the refrigerator and next thing you know, you're cooking up something really delicious and your family and you are chowing down, and you go in there when you go in to get on the bathroom scales, it goes, ow, Ow, get off of me.
It's all that pot roast, man.
Yeah, well, I can't eat that anymore because I got gout. But let's go back and let's talk about just your 3 simple steps. The most important thing is commitment.
Yes. So if a person is not committed and then dedicated to embracing and accepting what went wrong, they're going to fail again. And this is why I know. Because with DOTFMCSA, before someone really put this in motion, there were people failing multiple drug screens and returning to duty. So what happens is when a person fails multiple drug screens, what you're telling the government is, oh, he's all right, he's a great driver. No, he's a menace to the road, or he's a menace in the air, or he's a menace on a ship or a boat, or he's or when they're building highways and roadways. This person's a menace because they haven't learned anything. They don't want to go through the education piece. All they care about is returning to duty. And what happens is that when there's an accident or a fatality, one of the first people they call is the employer and then the substance abuse professional. Why did you, this is normally the discussion, why did you allow this man, this woman, these people to return to duty? I said, well, based on the information that was provided for me, based on the background information I received, based on the academic and the educational commitment they made and completed, they were able to return to duty. The employer has to hire them. That's the person you should be talking to because they still have to go take a drug screen. So you have something, these are the steps of returning to duty. Number 1, the person contacts a substance abuse professional. The substance abuse professional sets up a time that they can have an interview, that he can do an intake and a screening. That's step 1. Step 2 through 4 is the substance abuse professional taking care of all the documentations in something called the clearinghouse. The clearinghouse is something that the substance abuse professional goes into, he does an assessment, he adds all the information that was provided for him, and that allows the person to be able to be seen by prospective employers or a past employer that wants them to return to duty. Step 5 is the return to duty drug screen or alcohol and drug screen that the person would take from the employer. That is a 24 to 72 hour drug screen, depending upon the traffic in the clinic. When that result comes back negative, it must be a negative drug screen. It is uploaded into the clearinghouse by the employer, and that allows the driver to return to duty, either that day or the day after. Step 6 is all the drug screens that the employee has to complete during a course of time from the substance abuse professional. I will not tell the general public how many I give, but I don't give a lot. I give a lot. I would give a lot if the person was doing some other things. I know some substance abuse professionals, they give people, 50 or 60 or 100 drug screens. Nobody's going to hire them because it costs too much to keep sending them for a drug screen. It doesn't matter if they're Maverick driving. Nobody's going to hire them because it's just the cost it doesn't make sense for the employer for the cost. But mine are minimal and they're within scale. They're a little bit beyond the norm that DOTFMCSA would expect, but I do it for accountability and responsibility purposes. You failed a federal drug screen, and wherever you go going forward, although you've completed it, when they look at that, they're going to look in your CDL and your DAC report, and they're going to see that you went through a substance abuse professional program that was authorized with the Department of Transportation, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, or FAA, or wherever. I'm also a nuclear regulatory substance abuse expert. So the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is all the hazmat, all the nuclear reactors, anything that's nuclear. I also return those men and women back to duty too when they fail a federal drug screen or a federal alcohol screen, or both.
Now, does the FAA, which I'm a licensed pilot, does the FAA have different guidelines?
They don't have a clearinghouse.
Okay.
But they are stringent with the rules, the regulations, protocol, and procedures, as is DOTFMCSA, as is everyone, because of the pandemic and because of the rules and regulations, protocols, and procedures that were broken previously. They have been sharpened up, tooled up, and ready to go. You cannot, if you break the gateway, it's an inside job.
Well, because one of the things is a lot of people don't think about the fact that you're at altitude. You're a higher altitude, therefore you have less oxygen, even if you're in a pressurized aircraft, and that impacts you just a little bit. When you put behind that a drug situation, it magnifies whatever you're doing. I have been through that and seen that personally because I'm a pilot. So we're going to be right back after these words from our sponsors. And again, thank you, Fairway Independent Mortgage, for being part of this show and helping not only veterans with VA loans, but helping seniors. We help new home buyers, you name it, we do it. Look us up, Fairway Independent Mortgage. I'm going to be right back in a minute, and we're going to continue this great conversation because we're here. You got a family member who needs help? We're here. Give this information out. This is your Veteran Impact Show. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Man, I'm learning something out there. But by the way, Darrell, I am so thankful that you're here because, I've got a face for radio, but you look great on TV. I'm so glad to have.
It's cool making 60 look great, man. I'm just saying.
I know. And you're a Gulf War veteran. What ships did you serve on?
I was on the USS Copeland, FFG 25. I was on the USS Missouri, BB 63. Yes, I
battleship
recommissioned that in 1963. Dianne Feinstein was the mayor of San Francisco during that time.
Wow.
We went on a world cruise, and I was weapons station Seal Beach, in Seal Beach, California. I was on the USS Roanoke, in Long Beach, California. Those are my duty stations.
Did the Missouri?
That's where I ended up on the Missouri. I received my enlisted surface warfare specialist pin. That one right there.
Right.
Yeah. And so one of the great things about being on each ship, they kept going up in size, except for the Roanoke. The Missouri had the largest amount of crew. But very clearly, being a seaman, learning everything. And I told you earlier I was a bosun's mate. I went all the way to BM1. Became a bosun's mate and learned the aspects of 3M, maintenance, material, and management. And I implement that in my life today. The 3M manual is very, very intricate in its nature. A lot of competence must be wielded in learning it. But if you look at the Navy 3M manual, you can live a great life. You really can. But certainly you need the Bible. You need sacred scriptures. You really do. But the 3M manual has taught me so many different things that I still apply to my life today.
The book of Proverbs.
Like the book of Proverbs. If a person reads Psalm, Proverbs, and Ecclesiastes every day, they will be some of the wisest people ever. All that rich wisdom is there. And it came from God's mouth to the man's ear, to his pen, and provided it for everybody else.
Well, let me interject because I was in naval aviation. I was on aircraft carriers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was on the Oriskany and the Hancock. I know I'm a brown shoe and you're a black shoe. There's a differentiation.
Yes,
if you are a Navy veteran, you know what we're talking about. But in doing that, our deal was so much different than I think surface Navy, without a doubt. And as for the guys on the submarine, God bless you. I don't know how you did that. I mean,
no.
it ain't happening.
No.
It ain't.
Surface is bad enough. Underneath, there's no margin for error.
Well, the only thing is we went through one of the worst typhoons to ever hit southern Japan on the Hancock, and our destroyers took a tremendous beating, but our submarines didn't. I mean, they pulled into port,
they're ready to go.
They didn't know.
They're going to Liberty,
Yeah. Well, and one of the points that we're making by this fun conversation is we got so much out of the military. you can have all the commitment, you can have all the motivation, you can have all the drive in the world. But if you don't have the systems in place,
Right.
if you don't implement the systems, and if you don't have the commitment, then quite frankly, your goals will become butterflies
Yes.
blowing through the wind.
And you'll wonder why, that. So here, the word here is an interesting destination. How did I get here? Why am I here? How do I get out of here? And if most people can't put that together, what ends up happening is they just stay here. Here is only allotted for a period of time because, when I said I was going to go to college, to university, to seminary, I knew that's what I wanted to do. When I wanted to become a counselor, it wasn't because of anything else, it's because it was a fascinating thing. I think I'm still under investigation for my scores, right? Because when I sat down and took the exam, everything came to life for me. And the road for me to where I am today is because I had surrounded myself with wonderful individuals. The people who promised me this, that, and the other, that it never came to fruition, but this group of the Fantastic 10, these group of men and women paved a way for me to get to where I am today. And I'm so very, very thankful for them to still remain in my life.
And they were military.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna do a reunion of my squadron next year in New Orleans, and those men who were my pilots, VA 163, they're amazing men, and they inspired me. I was gonna go back to college come hell or high water, but they really inspired me, and I went on not only to become an A student in college, but I became president of my first real estate development company by age 30. I was a licensed private pilot before that. And I'm telling you, I love flying, but it also gives you a chance to exercise muscles from the standpoint of you can do this. Not you're doing something stupid, but you can do this. And I think a military service or service of any kind like that, some of the Peace Corps, et cetera, that's so important. And that has given you the systems and the basis and the drive and the motivation to save others' lives.
Yes.
That's really what you do is you save lives.
As much as I love to minister to people, I love being ministered to as well. Because the impact of a person's life is so profound. The sacred scriptures teaches that in Proverbs that life is a wisp of smoke. It's here and it's gone. So young people in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, I'm 60. So even y'all who are 59, remember this. You're not going to be here for a long time. My best years may still be in front of me, but the years I've lived up to this point are behind me. I'm starting at a new sprint here. So young people, you can do this. You can go and finish high school. You can go to the community college if you choose to. You can go straight to the university. You can go to graduate school. You can get your PhD. You can get your doctorate or PhD. You can do whatever you want to do. But see, everything has to line up. It has to match. Because you never want to be in a room one day and somebody asks you this question. Hey, where'd you go to school? Hey, where'd you get your license, your certification from? And if you don't have an answer, right, you're going to be excluded from further discussions with any of these people. Because remember, you're in a circle. You just happen to be meeting this person or these people, right? Your credentials must be sterling. They must be sterling. And for me, I must say this. As an American of African descent who lives in Texas, who's Catholic, there's still 15, 16, 17, 18, 1900 here in Texas and the bordering states. But you know what? I have no fear, none at all. I go straight to where I'm supposed to go and be where I'm supposed to be and have the greatest time ever. Because if you want to harm me, here's what the sacred scripture says. If you harm the body, I'm with God. So do what you must, but you're still going to get the effect and affect of the message from me. I'm no greater or any least than anyone else. I just know that I've been commissioned, called, and chosen to do this work.
And you do a phenomenal job. I also want to kind of go down another path for
Yes, sir.
just a second because you mentioned something using the word here. One of the things is the 23rd Psalm.
Yes.
Okay. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. How many times did I counsel for financial counseling people who are in the Veterans Court? And basically, the mentality of that person was they had camped in that valley of the shadow of death. They had sat down and they were wallowing. It was almost like they liked being there. And this is one of the most important things that I think and I'm part of the Military Peer Network. You know, I care. I'm also an ordained chaplain. I don't have near the credentials you, but I have the passion, thanks to you and others as examples. And one of the things is you've got to have some help. You've got to have a teacher. You've got to have a counselor. You've got to have some direction. You've got to have a roadmap to get out of that valley.
If you don't have a roadmap, you're going to get roadblocks.
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not just substance abuse. It's not just alcohol abuse. It's not just, it can be others. It can be sexual abuse. It can be attitude. I've recently gone through some things and man, it's made me cranky. And all of a sudden I realized I'm away from the way I do things. I'm doing things in the wrong way and it's getting to me. It's getting to me. That happens to all of us. And thank God I've got Darrell coming in today to talk to me because I want to do better.
And incidentally, there's no adult beverage in here. I'm just.
Oh, I know. Well, hopefully there's a great coffee, but I can't even do that. I can't do adult beverages anymore.
No.
Not.
You don't want to meet that guy, Jim.
And let me tell you something. Oh, there was a time when I could drink a beer or two and drive. I could drink a scotch or two or drive. I could do some things and drive. Not anymore, because I've seen too many absolutely destroyed lives. And don't you ever think it won't happen to you, because it's happened to people that I'm very, very close to. Yes. But here's the big thing. You don't want to stay in that valley. You don't want to stay in that depth of depression that drugs and alcohol lead to. That's simple. How do you get out of it? You got to have a roadmap. Well, at that point, you need a teacher and a counselor. And that's what Call Darrell is all about.
So so Better Call Darrell came from, I was doing a seminar, about 300 people or so, and just teaching them just little aspects of life. So a young man came to me afterwards. He said, "Hey, Chaplain, can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Hey, you ever thought about having a website called Better Call Darrell?" I'm like, "No." And so he says, he became very stoic. He says, "If you don't do this by the end of the day, I'm going to buy it and you're going to have to buy it for me." And he looked me up and down and he walked off. So I'm like, well, I'm being held hostage over so I call my guy who calls his people, who call their people, and Better Call Darrell was up and running that day. And Better Call Darrell has been in existence since 2015. It is my brand. It is copywritten and trademarked. And there are a lot of different things that I've seen over the years that are not copywritten and trademarked that I'm going to be copyright and trademarked. I'm going to have jerseys and T-shirts and such, but not for financial gain, but to give them out to people. You know, the money I make, you know, it goes away and I get it back. When I say 24, I give more, but 24%, right? It's all God's. That's what people forget. This is not our money. we're only stewards of what God gives to us, right? So the money that I make, that I earn, I make sure that the church gets its portion or more, because sometimes in our church it's a second collection. I'm just putting it out there. The check's already at the ready. You just dig in and put it into the offering tray.
I've been there.
You know, second collection, so you just put it in there. And so once you give, guess what? It comes back to you. You can't be greedy. You can't be selfish in this world, because that's where you're going to stay. And yes, you may have infinity in your bank account, but you're a miserable person, because living's not enough. You have to know how to live.
You know what you're talking about. We go to Gateway. Robert Morris has just released a new book. And Diane, can you tell me about that? I can't remember the name of that book, but he's really talking about that. And he says, this is my purpose. This is my ministry, to show people how to do this so that it enhances their lives. And he had the guy on stage, and Diane and I were there, and he was the founder of Hobby Lobby. And you know what he said?
Oh, my goodness.
He gives half. You give 24%, he gives half. And Hobby Lobby is one of the most successful companies in the nation.
Well, maybe I need to give half.
But I think you do what you need to do, and it's been able to have him just expand. Also, I think it's the quality, because he's a quality person and a quality deal. It's the quality of what you do.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that's so important about what you do, Darrell. It's the quality, helping people get out of that valley, helping people, and you're not gonna just kind of, oh, okay, we're gonna fix this where you can get back and do your due and you get your license back. You're gonna try and help them so that they get their life back. Because if you get their life back, then it won't happen again.
I am permanently, unless they're not in the industry anymore, I am permanently their counselor.
Yeah.
And I say that from the beginning, in the middle, and even when they're done with their drug screens that I prescribe for them. If you need me, you call me, because this is beyond just you getting back into the rig, or you getting back in the plane, or you getting whatever you're assigned to do. This is a life thing that you're going to be encountering.
You know, that's a passion that I share with you, but I was talking with our dear friend Ginger Simonson about that is part of the military ethos.
Yes.
And Diane and I were coming back to a convention, and I got a call from one of my customers. And she's 87 years old. And all of a sudden in the conversation, she was asking me some questions. And I go, wait a minute, you've been scammed.
Mm.
They offered to give you $6.8 million, and they want your bank account information so they can wire transfer the money to you. No. And so I said, okay, you didn't give it. Well, I did it once.
419 scam.
Yeah. So what I said to her is, I'm going to call you Monday morning. I want the name of your banker. We're going to make sure your accounts are secure. They're changed. We're going to make sure that you're okay. And we're going to prosecute those guys that did that. So I think having that commitment, you want a commitment like Darrell? You want a commitment that changes your life? You want to smile and be happy? You want a commitment that changes others' life? Then I'm telling you, better call Darrell, because it's a good way to go and a great man. And you know what, Darrell? You were one of the first people I had on in 2015.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's how far back we go.
At the other place, buddy.
Yeah, well, that was back when we were just radio. All right, we're going to be right back after these words from all of our partners. We're so blessed to have you on board. This is Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Thank you for inviting us into your home, inviting us to be a part of your life. And again, better call Darrell. Darrell is a great counselor, but if you have a CDL, if you're a pilot, if you have a job that requires a license and something has happened and you failed either a drug screen or an alcohol screen or whatever it is, and you're screaming, better call Darrell. If you've got a problem in your life and you haven't been busted for anything, but you're really, really struggling, better call Darrell. And I tell you what, if he can't help you, I think he can point you to somebody who can, because we are nationwide. And Darrell, you take calls from all over the United States. You take
in the world.
and the world. And this is important because he is a guide, he is a teacher, he is an inspiration. And his inspiration has inspired many others, including me, because I've known him since 2015.
Thank you, Jim.
And this is one of the most important things that I say to veterans: get plugged in, get tuned in, get involved. Darrell and I are both life members of VFW. We are both combat veterans. It's important for us to stay tuned in because belong to an exceptional fraternity. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, we do.
And one of the things is it's an ethos that you will jump into the fire to bring a brother or sister out. You will jump into the ocean to save somebody's life. You will jump in to take care of a brother or sister. You will jump in to make sure nobody is left behind. And that's something that the civilian world doesn't understand. And I wish our country would get back to that and making our country really, really
Yes,
pulling
yes,
us together.
yes.
And this is one of the most important things too. You can't pull together if you're impaired.
Right.
You cannot pull it in your family.
You know, they don't ask me, I got to pull it together. I mean,
You
gotta
can't.
get sober, man.
Yeah, you got to be.
And sober doesn't necessarily mean alcohol and drugs. Incidentally, everyone, alcohol is a drug.
Oh God, yeah.
So if you're not sober, you can't be vigilant. If you're not vigilant, your life will still be in chaos, mayhem, dysfunction, and toxicity. It's proven.
And this relates to family. This relates to the world. This relates to the community. And I got to tell you, one of the biggest things you got to do too is when you go talk to Darrell, you're going to have to forgive yourself. You're going to have to forgive a whole lot of people, but forgiveness is the gospel. Just go listen to the Lord's Prayer. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. We have to look back and say, yes, I need to forgive myself and I need to change. And that's my spiel.
When people are walking around carrying that weight, it impedes progress. It just does. The shadows of the past will continue to inflict pain upon you if you decide not to address it. Whatever happened in your home as a child, whatever happened in your life with a spouse or a significant other, whatever's happened in your life, it can be redirected. I promise and guarantee you, it can be redirected. Jeremiah 29:11-14 teaches us about the promises and guarantees of God, and he stands on those promises.
Okay,
he stands on those guarantees.
And it says, yes, that the plans I have for you. But go back to the first part of that chapter where he says to the Israelites that were in captivity in Babylon, make a home. Do the best you can do. Do everything. Grow gardens, multiply, be a family, be the best you can be. And that entire scripture, that entire chapter talks about being a better man and a better woman. And when we do that, we feel great.
Yes.
Now, you made a point about life is short. Yeah, we've had it in our face because of COVID. I lost some really close friends and family. I lost a cousin, his 80th birthday, and he was this is one of the physically most fit, strongest men, worked in the oil business. Amazing guy, but he had asthma as a child. I talked to him on a Thursday, and I said, Mickey, how are you doing, man? And he said, I got this cold, Jimmy. and it's really driving me nuts, and I got to do something about it. I said, you need to go to the doctor. Nah, and boy, I'm telling you, he was tough as nails. Only guy I ever see to take a 10-penny nail, put it in his hand, and bend it, okay, around his fingers. He was that physically strong. He got COVID. I talked to him on Thursday. He was gone by Sunday. He went to the hospital on Saturday, and he was gone that fast. So life can happen in just the blink of an eye.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something else. Life can also be an explosive joy in the blink of an eye. You know, you and I, you've heard me many times. You told me, hey, go get signed up for the PACT Act. Go get signed up for this stuff. Well, okay, yeah, I did. I want to say thank you to Michael Krause, the Veterans Benefit for the state of Texas down in Waco, because I got signed up. Monday, Diane yells at me, are you sitting down? Yeah. She brings me a great check from the VA and a letter that says, I now have a disability because of my Vietnam service. You talk about changing my life in the blink of an eye.
Hold on.
We didn't expect it.
Where's the check? You have it, Diane?
It's in the bank. It's in the bank, and the check that's going to the church is on its way.
Amen.
All right, I want to say thank you. I want to say, Darrell, this is great. Let's say a prayer together. Lord God of the universe, we so love you, and we love your word, and we love your teaching, and we love the fact that we can come together and we can work together to make things better, because evil does not get overcome by evil. So, dear God, bring us together as a nation, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. This we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Man, I just prayed with my pastor, my chaplain, my counselor. And let me tell you, take a look at Combat Reboot. Better call Darrell. I mean, it's easy to find. You need help. You know somebody who needs help. Let's help them. Let's save lives. And call me, because we've got some things that we can do to help you to save